From the triumph of emancipation to the promise of independence, this season invites us to reflect on the courage that shaped our past, the resilience that defines our present, and the hope that guides our future. It's a time to reflect on the sacrifices of those who came before us, celebrate how far we've come, and recommit ourselves to building an even stronger Jamaica. Hello and welcome to this Sunday's edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm your host, Theodore Henry. Let's turn the pages.
When you think of Jamaica, the first thing that comes to mind is the people. But what is it about us?
What makes us truly Jamaican?
Is it our warmth and hospitality? The way we greet each other with a simple wagwan or a bright smile? Maybe it's our resilience, our ability to find joy even in tough times. Or perhaps it's the unmistakable sound of patois connecting us, adding flavor to every conversation. Speaking of flavor, could it be our love for street food? The pan chicken sizzling on the grill, the soup men on the corner, the fruit vendors with their fresh, vibrant offerings?
Wait, I know you're excited, but what about our music, our dance moves, or rhythm that captivates the world?
We are storytellers, whether through folklore or everyday conversations. Being Jamaican is more than just a nationality. It's a feeling, a culture, a way of life. From the way we speak to the way we dance, cook, and connect, every part of our identity reflects our rich heritage and unstoppable spirit.
So what makes us truly Jamaican? It's everything. We are the culture, the energy, and the heartbeat of the island.
It flies proudly above our schools, public buildings, and sometimes our homes, a powerful symbol of Jamaica's identity, unity, and pride. But while many of us proudly display the black, green, and gold, not everyone knows the proper protocols that govern its use. In this week's episode of Get the Facts, we explore the etiquette, traditions, and guidelines that help ensure our national flag is always treated with the dignity and respect it deserves. Let's join the conversation.
Welcome to Get the Facts, the show that gives you information on what you need to know. I think it's safe to say that as Jamaicans, we are very proud of our country. And while we show this pride all year round, the month of August is a time when we proudly display the black, the green, and the gold. We wave it at events, decorate our homes and businesses, and wear it as a symbol of national pride. But how many of us know the proper way to use the national flag? Are there rules governing when it should be flown? Can it be worn as clothing? What happens when a flag becomes damaged? And why is proper flag etiquette so important? Today on Get the Facts, we are exploring the protocols surrounding Jamaica's national flag and separating fact from fiction. Joining us to answer these questions and more is Ambassador Sandra Grant Griffiths, Chief of State Protocol, Chancery and Protocol Division in the Office of the Prime Minister. Ambassador Griffiths, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much, Adrian. Happy to be here.
It is a pleasure to have you indeed. It is almost independence, and we see the Jamaican flag almost everywhere. What should Jamaicans know or understand surrounding the protocol about its use?
Well, first of all, we should perhaps start from when the flag came into being. Mm-hmm. And remind Jamaica that the flag was raised for the first time on August 6, 1962, when at the stroke of midnight we lowered the Union Jack and hoisted our national flag.
Who established the rules surrounding its use? Are these guidelines?
There are rules. There are rules that have evolved over time, and there is in fact a code for use of national emblems and symbols. And JIS has in fact printed that document some time ago. in that book, it speaks about the issue of the correct colors of the flag, because there is a correct shade of yellow, a shade of gold, and a shade that should be sustained. And the flag is not yellow, it is gold. So that's important. And for those who want to use the flag for graphic and printing and so on, and they come to us, we can provide the Pantone of colors. That exactly tells you what shade of yellow, shade of gold, sorry, and which shade of green you should be using. And that then keeps the integrity of the flag, the way it's supposed to be displayed.
Yes.
You should not also use a flag to just identify your national pride on your vehicle. So do not put the flag over your car bumper and your car bonnet, without a particular state occasion, because there's a time when that can be done and by whom it should be done. It should not be, again, positioning a flag. The national flag is always in the place of honor, which is the right-hand position. So any other flag that you're going to display should be displayed alongside the flag, but not to the right of the flag. And those are some of the simpler rules.
Yes.
And as we go down, we can explore other areas.
But I want to touch a little bit on this, because during this time, this is independence, emancipation. People are excited, Jamaicans. And so we talk about the integrity of the flag, the correct shade of green and the gold. Where can Jamaicans, even those in the diaspora, purchase a Jamaican flag that speaks to the integrity of such symbol? I
cannot speak generally at this time, but for the Office of the Prime Minister, we secure flags through the JIS.
Yes.
And there is a provenance with that arrangement, because we know we get the correct quality of flag, because there are outdoor flags, there are indoor flags,
yes,
and there are flags for longer life than others. And the JIS is the party to whom we turn when we are ordering flags.
Right. When should the national flag be flown? And are there instances?
There's no prohibition on the flying of a national flag. Yes. It can be flown throughout the entire year. The strictures are, for instance, if you are observing mourning, and you are observing, and mourning might mean that the government, and this is important, has declared a period in which the flag should be flown at half-mast.
Yes.
And this can be to recognize a disaster locally, or it can be to mark the passing of a leader of Jamaica, either the head of state or the head of government, or it can be the death of the monarch. So the government, through cabinet, would declare a period of mourning, and for that period, the flag is then flown at half-mast, yes, until the time has expired. And I should mention at this point that half-mast doesn't mean you fly the flag up halfway to the pole. It means that you raise the flag to the top of the pole, and then you lower the flag to 2/3 of the length of the pole, which is really the top 1/3. And then you observe the same process in lowering the flag at the end of the day. Because again, one of the rules that I did not address is that the flag should be flown from sunrise to sunset. And if it's going to be flown in the dark, it has to be illuminated. Right, so there should be a spotlight or some form of light, because the flag should not be in the dark.
Absolutely.
So you would then need to observe that, and then persons cannot willy-nilly, which they have proposed from time to time, declare periods of mourning for all sorts of reasons, because it would not be a national period of mourning with approval of the flag so to be used.
Right. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we want to talk a little bit more about it, particularly homeowners who choose to fly the flag at their home. Are there certain guidelines that they need to follow? And when we return, we look at some of the most common questions surrounding the national flag, from whether it can be worn as clothing to what should happen when a flag becomes damaged. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
From sunrise on the beach to sunsets in the hills, Jamaica is more than a place. It's a vibe. It's the rhythm in our music, the flavor in our food, and the pride in our people. It's how we celebrate life. Bold, proud, and full of energy. From yard to abroad, once you feel it, you know Jamaica is a vibe. Let's keep it positive. Let's keep it proud. Let's keep it Jamaican, because Jamaica is a vibe.
Welcome back to Get the Facts. We're continuing our discussion on the national flag and the proper protocols for its use. I know, Ambassador, you've spoken about the positioning of the flag, but I want you to delve a little bit more into the actual position of the Jamaican flag when on display with other national flags or organizational flags.
Interesting question, because there are occasions, and Jamaicans might very well drive past a diplomatic mission and see that the Jamaican flag is not to the rightmost position. In those circumstances, the territories of missions are the sovereign territories of their countries. So they are at liberty to fly their flag in the rightmost position. And if the Jamaican flag is also hoisted, it can be to the left, that flag. We also wanted to delve a little bit in what the homeowners can do.
Yes.
The average Jamaican who wants to put up a flag as a symbol of national pride, and nothing prohibits that, as long as the flag is displayed in a position that we call aloft and free. Nothing hinders its flight, so to speak. And it is not tattered, as I mentioned before. When it is faded, you take it down and you replace it, and it is not impeded by any other structures. It doesn't appear to have on it any writing that should be printed on the flag. Sometimes you will see ads with words and lettering running across the ad.
Yes.
Nothing should obscure the flag's image. So no photographs, no words, no descriptors of companies, that kind of thing. I know it's a time of national pride and so on, but there is a difference between demonstrating that pride with the flag held to your bosom and also defacing it literally by writing across it or doing anything else that should not be.
Are homeowners responsible for ensuring that they lower the flag before sunset?
It should be the case. That is a normal procedure, sunrise to sunset.
Yes.
So we say 6 in the morning till 6 in the evening.
Absolutely.
There is no way to enforce that rule in people's homes, so we just encourage discretion.
Can that be enforced in terms of organizations?
No, we can only advise. There's no sanction for having the flag up after 6 o'clock.
Yes.
If we notice and somebody brings it to our attention, then the OPM will in fact contact the individual. And we have from time to time companies and say, your flag has passed its best by life. Could you please make the amendment?
Yes.
And if it's started, we will say the same thing. And we remind that it has to be uplit if you're having it displayed after hours.
Yes. So let's talk now a little bit about the common mistakes that Jamaicans make when they're literally displaying the national flag.
Well, essentially, it would be positioning it, as I mentioned before. It would be its appearance, as I mentioned before. It is also creating a dress made out of a flag, literally. Where approval can be given for flag use by placement of a flag on an object, which is not beyond what can be approved.
Yes.
Because, for instance, companies who wish to export Jamaican products will write to us formally to request placement of the flag on their labels.
Seeking that permission.
And that permission is granted through the Office of Prime Minister, who is the authorized regulator of flag use. So we would say, yes, it conforms, and they have to send an image of the label and the flag as they're going to insert it.
Yes.
And then we'll say, yes, it meets the criteria, or no, it does not. And we go back to the drawing board if it doesn't. persons who are involved in the souvenir trade, who might want to place the flags on a souvenir mug or a souvenir T-shirt, same process. They send an image of the mock-up of the design, and then we say yea or nay. Same thing with company logos, trademarks, and the trademark process is a dual process. We approve the flag use as they have depicted it, where JIPO would then deal with the certification of the trademark and registration part of the trademark. So it is a joined up government business as well, because the process for getting the flags labeled or included on the label, I should say, again is regulated through the Trade Board.
Yes.
So we work with across government in terms of the complete process.
Are there sanctions if companies fail to do that?
Again, legislation is being developed
Yes.
for sanctions. And you want to be very careful because you don't want to sanction national pride, but you still want... So education is the thrust at the moment, while we work to move the legislation to a place where sanctions can be incorporated.
Right. And so there's the whole issue surrounding the flag touching the ground or being
Indeed.
used to drape over a motor vehicle.
The flag should not ever touch the ground. So even when you are placing a flag in a room, for instance, and your flagpole is standing, the flag's size should not be such that it is literally sweeping the floor. If that is the case, you adjust the flag so that it does not actually touch the floor. And as I mentioned too, in the draping around, our athletes in particular are very enthusiastic, and particularly when they have won gold.
Yes.
And flags are
All
cast
over,
about all over the
absolutely,
place.
yes.
But just to remind that, you know, where we can, remember, in enthusiasm, we can still be mindful of how the flag is utilized.
Yes. And, you know, what should someone do if you recognize that you have this flag? Organizations or even a proud homeowner displaying the flag at home. When it's torn, it's tattered, it's damaged, whatever it is, what should they do?
There is a recommendation, a very strong one, that it should be removed and burnt in private.
Yes.
Because the burning of a flag might raise connotations of all kinds of other ideas. So we encourage private disposal and do not bury it, because it can be dug up and it will be seen to be tattered and torn and buried and not in a place that it should be or a state it should be in. So we encourage that the flag should be burned privately when it is no longer in a state for it to be used officially or privately by individuals.
Yes. Ambassador, finally, what does it say about us Jamaicans when we respect the use of the flag, the proper use of the Jamaican flag?
It demonstrates a respect of self, of country, of national pride, and recognition of our symbol of national pride, because our flag really is, I believe, the most recognized flag in the entire world. Without fail, I could say that.
Absolutely.
And it is something that's coveted. I've had to turn one request for persons overseas who wish to put the flag on their products, who are not necessarily Jamaican or Jamaican products. And we reinforce the whole thing of the motto of the flag, so to speak, that the black, green, and gold, and what it symbolizes, that the black is the strength and creativity of our people. The gold is the wealth and the sunshine that we enjoy every day, and the green is the hope and our agricultural resources.
Absolutely.
And we say, what is the phrase? That the land is green, the sun shineth, and the people are strong and creative.
Absolutely. What a great way to end this conversation. Thank you so much, Ambassador Griffith, for taking the time to talk to us about the proper use of the national flag indeed. And remember, it is black, green, and gold, not black, green, and yellow. And so the national flag is far more than a piece of fabric. It is a powerful symbol of our nation's history, identity, and independence. Understanding the proper protocols for its use helps ensure that this important national symbol is always treated with the dignity and respect it deserves. Thank you so much, Ambassador.
Thank you so much, Adrian.
Here. It's really a
And
pleasure.
thank you to those who might be out there learning some facts.
Indeed, absolutely. And so this is where we end this episode of Get the Facts. Thank you so much for watching. Good afternoon.
Jamaica's beaches, rivers, and other waterways are among our greatest natural treasures, offering recreation, livelihoods, and vital ecosystems. But protecting these shared spaces requires all of us to play our part. In this next feature, we examine the guidelines for using Jamaica's beaches and waterways responsibly and why respecting these rules help preserve them for generations to come.
The beach, the sunshine, sea breeze, the sound of waves, and memories you want to savor. But have you ever stopped to think, is everyone enjoying the beach safely and responsibly? Whether you're a strong swimmer or just dipping your toes, water safety matters for everyone. Every year, millions visit our water bodies, which include our beaches, rivers, and waterfalls, but not everyone knows the risks. Rip currents, sudden depth changes, slippery rocks, strong undercurrents, and a host of other hazards. But these dangers can be mitigated.
There is a Beach Control Safety Measures Regulation of 2006, and that regulation speaks specifically to the requirements for safety on the beach for patrons. The regulations speak to the question of lifeguards being on the beach, the roles and responsibilities of the lifeguard to ensure that they have control over what's happening on the beach. And so when you go to a beach, you want to ensure that the area is buoyed and that we have lifeguards.
And don't forget, risky behavior like cliff diving or swimming after drinking, not worth it. Also, never swim alone, and non-swimmers must always wear a life jacket.
When visiting beaches, it's important to ensure that you're swimming where lifeguards are present. Never swim alone, always have somebody with you just in case. Remember to stay hydrated, wear the proper sunscreen, make sure that it's reef safe if you can. Always keep an eye out for children or those around you. Never go do anything unsupervised and just have fun, you know. It's supposed to be a fun time and you can have fun and be safe at the same time.
Using our water bodies safely isn't just about currents and waves or slippery rocks. Marine and freshwater life can also pose risks. Some of our rivers are home to crocodiles, so caution should be taken when taking a dip, and be sure to look out for caution signs regarding wildlife. Jamaica is home to sharks, and while encounters are rare, it's best to be extra cautious during early mornings and late afternoons when visibility is lower and certain species may be more active. Beachgoers should stay alert to local conditions, avoid swimming alone or in secluded areas, and follow any posted safety guidelines. Jellyfish stings can be painful and sometimes life-threatening, so it's important to look out for warning flags or signs on the beach. Fire coral, though it looks harmless, can cause severe skin irritation if touched. By staying alert, following safety notices, and respecting marine life, we can protect ourselves while enjoying the beauty of the ocean. Lifeguards are the first line of defense along our shores, and so the National Environment and Planning Agency NEPA has engaged hundreds of rescuers through training sessions and ensuing exams.
The training exam has been perfect actually. It's been very strict.
Our role is instructing young persons with knowledge, judgment, and skill, I say in the art and the profession of life-saving and life-guarding.
What I've learned is that you have to be very focused and observant, because if, for instance, there is someone drowning out there, they can't be able to talk or indicate to someone otherwise from just putting up their hands. So if we as a lifeguard can be more observant in the field, we can look out for those incidents and try to save life.
Swim in safe zones. Keep an eye on the little ones, listen to advice from community members, and remember, if you're unsure, ask a lifeguard. A few small choices can make a big impact on our marine life and your safety. Our actions, good or bad, make a big difference in how we balance recreation and conservation when we use our rivers and beaches.
Package your waste and so that it can be collected and disposed of at the proper location, the proper waste disposal site. The public also would need to be aware of the importance of our coastal vegetation, as an example, our mangroves, our seagrass along our beaches. They are important in stabilizing our coastal environment.
Our beaches are treasures, not just for today, but for generations to come. So, let's keep them safe and clean. For more details, contact the National Environment and Planning Agency, NEPA. There's also a beach guide webpage where you can access information about Jamaica's beaches, beach safety tips, and ongoing beach cleanup initiatives.
You may be aware of this Garvey quote: "A people without the knowledge of their past history, origin, and culture is like a tree without roots," alluding to the matter of humans not having a flourishing future without the understanding of where they are coming from to keep them grounded. It was Garvey who also said, "Intelligence rules the world, ignorance carries the burden." In this day of information, knowledge is all around us. Easily with internet access, we carry around a library with us. We need only to search and search ardently. Look deeply into reliable sources. Then we must free ourselves of any ignorant beliefs we may have previously held. The great orator also said, "The pen is mightier than the sword, but the tongue is mightier than them both put together." Educating oneself on a matter increases one's knowledge. With that, one's chances of making informed decisions and acting with prudence grows. The phrase "knowledge is power" is not one to be taken lightly, but to be taken with deep thought and to be acted upon fiercely while understanding the power of knowing. To bring it full circle, we take a quote from another tremendous leader, Kofi Annan, who reiterated the sentiment, "Knowledge is power," and said that information is liberating. Education is the premise of progress in every society, in every family. That's it for this week's Sunday Afternoon Detox. See you next time.
We've come to the end of today's show. I do hope that you enjoyed this package. To catch a repeat of this or any other, feel free to log on to our website at www.jis.gov.jm. Until next time, I'm Theodore Henry. Do take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.